Tesla is a very funny stock. Let's face it. There is no other stock. There's no other company. There's no other leader that is anything like Tesla. And we saw that in the early goings of the market. I'm recording this. Still, it's only 7:30 in California right now as I'm recording this. And, Tesla is up 5%, where the rest of the market and even the Magnificent Seven are up 1 or 2%. And it's just the way the stock is. It's still being treated as a startup because in many ways it acts like a startup. It acts like a huge growth stock in its early goings because it is early innings for Tesla, and it's going to just keep growing and growing and growing. As, of course, Ron Barron said earlier this week, it's a $4 trillion stock, not a $400 billion stock. And it's been at $1 trillion in valuation just a couple of years ago in November. We're actually almost at the anniversary of the all-time high, the second anniversary. So what in the world is going on? Why am I doing a show today just trying to prove that it's worth $300 now? Well, it's because so much negative talk over the last couple of weeks about Tesla being overvalued and, the EV business being over, et cetera, et cetera. So I thought, what? This is not a normal look for me. I know you know this, but I wanted to take a look at Tesla, at the most conservative I could possibly be. One of the commentators the other day said, oh, look, we have to put in order to really get to these valuations, what we have to do is we have to look at some of these future items, like optimists and FSD and robotaxis and whatnot. We have to look at them as kind of options on the stock. You get this, which might be worth a couple $100, and then you have an option for all these, which might make it worth 300 or more. And sure, that's a great way to look at it. And absolutely, I look at Tesla that way. I'm not looking at what they're doing now. I'm looking at what they're doing now and what I expect them to do in the future. Because why? Because they have executed over and over and over again. Yes, late on impossible opportunities, but they have executed and proven that they eventually get these things done. And I believe these things will get done. So why wouldn't I, in the early innings, want to be on board for some amazing numbers that are coming later? And Ron Barron, who's a fairly smart investor, apparently he thinks that way too. So anyway, let's get into, I'm going to do this analysis, this $300 price point. I'm justifying it with horrible sales in 2024, no FSD breakthrough, no optimist production, no dojo as a service, no improvements in margins due to higher prices or lower costs or manufacturing improvements. I'm curious to know what you guys think about this analysis. Listen to what I've done here and let me know in the comments below. What do you think about what I'm doing here? So anyway, this is Randy Kirk. Hit the like and subscribe and notify button. You're going to want to come back tonight and hear what I have to say about Apple and also about the day's trading, because it looks like it's going to be a pretty good trading day. I will continue to watch that uninversion that I talked about earlier this morning. If you didn't see this morning's show, you probably want to go back and take a look at that show. I think there was some extremely valuable things. Plus, last night's show with Larry was also very, very, very useful, I believe. Anyway, let's go ahead, join Patreon and buy, some of these little Cybertruck guys, okay? All right. So Jonas predicts Tesla 2024 EPS will be $2.41. That's what Jonas put, $2.41, down from a previous view of $3.89. That's where he was before. Wall Street consensus has Tesla 2024 at $4.24 a share, according to FactSet. All right. So it gets easy to start grumbling when your favorite asset is tumbling. Oh, no, I'm sorry. I did that. I wrote it down and I decided to say it anyway. But I'm here to tell you that the future is extremely bright and the good times are not that far away. I'm going to merely hit the main drivers of sales and profits that we know are coming in 2024. Short of some massive catastrophe, there can always be another, something like the pandemic, but we're not going to count those in. I'm not going to deal with any hopium at all. I'm not going to, I think these things are happening, but I'm not going to deal with any Optimus, FSD, Robotaxi, semi-trucks, Dojo, Gen 3, none of that. Okay. Just what we know is going to happen in 2024. And really, I think you'll feel that this is the most conservative you've ever seen me be. All right. What can we reasonably expect? Here we go. Number one. And see, I always do things a little differently than other folks. Number one, batteries. Jordan Giesecke just rolled out his newest video on the limiting factor. If you don't follow Jordan, you should. And since it is currently behind paywalls, I'm going to avoid giving away his key conclusions. However, I have claimed better numbers than he has for 2024. So I'll use my numbers as the most conservative I can imagine. Sometime in early 2024, Tesla will be refining their own lithium manufacturing. They'll be refining their own lithium in their new plant. They said this is going to start refining in January. They're going to be manufacturing their own cathodes. That is going to happen probably before the end of the year. They'll be making their own 4680 batteries at scale, according to Jordan and according to lots of other folks. And they're making lots of them now, but they're going to be making them at much higher scale. And they will be placing those batteries into packs and then into cars. This leaves only mining the material for them to become 100% vertical. I guess they'd have to mine them, and then they'd have to own the ships that they were shipping the mined materials to Corpus Christi. Anyway, so this will clearly give Tesla the lowest price per kilowatt of any maker at some point, maybe even this coming year. But other than BYD, they will be the only car company making their own batteries at scale, taking a very low total production for 2024 of just 50 gigawatt hours. Now, remember, these first four lines, which will all be up and running by the end of the first half, all four running. Now, not all four of them will be fully ramped up, but they should ramp up fast. I'm just going to say that they have the capability of doing 100 gigawatts, and I'm just going to give Tesla 50 gigawatts of production for all of 2024. And I'm going to assume a savings of just $30 per kilowatt hour. That would give you $1.5 billion in savings for 2024 as Tesla, when we get into 2025, you're going to be doubling that. You're going to be looking at $3 billion in savings in 2025, just on the manufacturing side, when you take into consideration all of those things that I just went through. But it isn't just about the $1.5 billion that they're going to get from the savings. There's also the $45 per kilowatt hour in IRA money. So that would equal another $2.25 billion in 2024 and $4.5 billion in 2025 at a minimum, and probably more. Now, these are not profits that you're going to find easily on the P&L in each quarter. They will show up in the margins, since all of these are cost of goods issues. But the savings are real, and assuming that Tesla can still outcompete other makers who have to buy their batteries from other folks, Tesla should be able to bottom line all of those dollars. So the pundits that we mentioned up above believe that total profits are going to be less than $15 billion total in 2024. I don't think they've got these kind of savings in their spreadsheet. Okay. So what you're looking at so far is the $2.25 billion from IRA and $1.5 billion from the battery savings. So you're looking at $3.75 billion already. Now we've got mega packs and power walls. I'm going to assume that Lathrop is fully ramped from January 1. I think that's a lead pipe cinch. I don't think that's, or they're going to be very close. But I'm not going to count $1 coming out of the factory in Shanghai. I am guessing that Lathrop will be there, but they might not quite be there. But I also believe that Shanghai will actually produce something. So I'm just going to use that as my basis, is Lathrop fully ramped. If you take Lathrop, even after the price reductions they've had recently, and you add in power walls, you're going to get at least $20 billion in revenue. It is probably more than that. And then it appears that it's going to be at least 25% in margin, probably more than that. It's certainly, if you count installation, software, maintenance, arbitrage, et cetera, it's going to be well over that. But we'll use these lowest numbers, 20 billion and 25%. This doesn't count other energy business like VPPs and the utility business. Doesn't count anything for solar. So that would be 5 billion in profits before any benefits from IRA. Next, we have Megapacks and Powerwalls. I'm going to assume Lathrop is fully ramped by January 1. I'm not going to give $1 to the new factory in Shanghai, even though I think that factory will be producing next year, and it's possible that Lathrop will be a little bit short of being fully ramped. If you count that together, I'm just going to use the total dollars that I think Lathrop will produce. Lathrop plus Powerwall, therefore, will produce at least 20 billion in revenue next year. It appears it'll be above 25% in margins, but I'm going to use 25%. But when you count installation and software and maintenance and arbitrage, I'm sure it's going to be well over 25%. So these are very super conservative. So this doesn't count other energy businesses like the VPPs and the utility business. It doesn't count solar. Okay, so this would be 5 billion in profits before any benefits from the IRA. The batteries on these come from others. Some of those are going to come from Panasonic, and Tesla is going to share in that, but I'm not even going to count that. I'm just going to throw in the $10 that they're going to get per kilowatt in order to get to this number. So Tesla will only have a little over 5 billion in profits total from all the energy storage activity and the energy business. That is a super conservative number. And we had 7 billion up above. So we're already now between the 5 and the 7, we're already at 12 billion of the 15 billion that these other folks that we think we're going to do. Now we get to services. The services part of the business is growing rapidly, consists of charging stations, insurance, car resales, repairs and maintenance, monthly sales as a service, which is $10 a month for most people. This piece of the business has been growing, and in quarter 3 reached $140 million in profit. At the current rate of growth, which is actually likely to increase, that amount could easily reach $1 billion in 2024. That's going to be my number. Interest income. When you've got $26 billion to invest, you can generate a lot of interest income. At the current run rate of well over $1 billion, it is likely to be well over that in 2024. So I'm just going to use the conservative number, $1 billion. So it's another billion. Regulatory credits have often been dissed as not a sustainable revenue source, but the major auto companies are slowing down their EV plans. So I guess we can be real confident that we're at least going to get the equal revenues that we've been getting from these sources in the future years, at least for a couple of 3. Let's call it 2.5 billion. So here we are, not a dollar of income from cars or trucks yet, and we are past the 15 billion that these guys are talking about. So what about cars? In the quarter just passed, the worst quarter in years and well below anybody's hopes and expectations, the number was $3 billion. If we use that as the run rate, we get 12 billion less overhead, and the overhead's running about 2.4 billion per quarter, which was actually higher than usual due to R&D expense. Now that R&D expense, that's a good thing, but it's not going to stay up that high. But let's just round up to 10 billion in overhead, and you've got $2 billion for the year. It's another $2 billion. That's all we made from cars last year. Oh, well, but that's because I'm throwing all of the overhead onto auto, which isn't fair. All right. But that still gives us another 2 billion to our 15 plus billion above. So now we're well above 17 billion. So the smallest car sales number I can find for next year is 2.1 billion. Well, that would be an increase of 300,000 or 16%. Well, that's not going to be the number in my opinion, but let's say it is. Can we, for simplicity's sake, extrapolate car and truck net earnings at the same rate as the rate that we've got in the third quarter? So 12 billion times 116%, and we get 1.4 billion additional dollars in profit. So if we're only doing 17 billion, that would be $5.26 per share based on 3.23 billion shares. So we just have to pick the right PE. That, of course, will have everything to do with the interest rates, which are dropping, the overall market mood, which is improving, and Tesla's growth rate. It will also have to do with the 2025 and forward earnings expectations. So if we just use the worst case scenario and give it a 60 PE, we would now be well over $300 per share. Nothing in there, not a penny for Optimus, FSD, Dojo, Gen 3, energy storage, mega growth, anything. Mega growth in the energy, not a penny in there for Optimus, FSD, Dojo, Generation 3, or energy storage mega growth. Well, let me know what you think. Is this conservative enough? What would you strip away from these numbers? A lower PE? Sure, if the market goes back to late 22 view of risk, if interest rates start going back up and they go to 8%, but maybe things go the other way. Risk comes on, interest rates at 3%. Then all of a sudden we could be looking at a PE of 80. And 80, all of a sudden now you're talking about a $400 price point. Oh, that reminds me, that is my January 30th expectation for the share price. Of course, 2024 stock prices will be set more and more based on 2025 expectations. And by early 2024, we should know a lot more about the Cybertruck success, about Optimus, and who knows, maybe even FSD. So please let me hear what you think about this take. Was this conservative enough? Should I be more conservative? Please hit like, hit subscribe, hit notify. You're going to be wanting to come back tonight for the regular show now. Every night now, Monday through Thursday, I'm doing a mirror of the morning show where we look at the pre-market numbers at about 5 o'clock California time is when it will be published. And we look at what has happened in the pre-market as well as what was the news during the day. Not all the detailed news. I'm leaving that to Dylan and to Rob. Let them do those detailed things. I'm going to just do the items I think could potentially affect the stock. That's what my job is. That's it. That's my only job. All right. And then yes. And please go back and look at that Larry Goldberg video that I did last night where we talked about the Fed. You might also want to look at this morning's show. I think both of those together are very instructive. And if you haven't seen those, you should probably go and look. I will put a card right here. Buy yourself a Cybertruck bottle opener. They're great. What a great gift. Down below in the description, you can find everything you need to know to make that decision. Okay, that's it. It's been great talking to you. Is somebody going to join Patreon? All right, I'm going to make a deal. This is going to be, I've done this once before. It worked a little bit. Actually got a lot of people joining Patreon the last 2 weeks, but the last 2 days, not a single soul. So let's get you up on Patreon. What I'm going to do is I'm going to give you one free audiobook. You can have 2 free if you want, or you can have 1 free audiobook and the Cybertruck bottle opener. How's that? 1 and 1. Okay. If you join at the $10 level, not at the $5 level. If you join at the $5 level, you just get the 1 book. Now, if you're completely new to the channel, this is a bottle opener. It is a refrigerator magnet. It is 3 millimeter thick, stainless steel, really, really tough. Comes in a very cool magnetic box that makes it a great gift item. It's got all kinds of people now buying them as gifts as a result of the fact that I have so many people that want to buy them as gifts, and they're putting in these larger orders. I do have it all down. I think I put it all down below. I'll have to double check and make sure that it's up to date. They're normally $25 a piece. You get 2 for $45. You get 3 for $60. Okay. You get 100 for $210, and you get 200 for $400. Gets you all the way down to $20 a piece. If you are out of the country, I need you to add another $20 to that for freight, whichever one of those ones you pick. And then if you are, please let me know camo or regular. And of course you can mix and match if you buy quantities, however you want to set that up. So is there anything else I have left for you tonight? I think I've said it all. I have enjoyed speaking with you yet again.
Click the link below to get your paperback, Kindle, or audiobook now.